Do you know who led the Third Army during World War II to capture the most amount of ground in the shortest amount of time? If you're a history buff, then you already should know who I'm talking about. This man is George Patton, and he is possibly one of the most heroic people during World War II. And most of the military veterans would possibly say the same thing. And as a guy who loves World War II history in general, and has read a couple books about George Patton, I will be telling you information about him before World War II, during World War II, and how he passed away. First, let's explore him at his younger age. George Patton, as a young adult, was very intelligent and very fit. According to biography.com, Patton was born on November 11th, 1885 in San Gabriel, California. He even participated in the 1912 Olympics and was able to do many things such as fencing, but apparently there was no evidence that Patton had even competed in fencing at the Olympics, stated by sportsreference.com, but I have read otherwise. And short after the Olympics, World War I had started, and Patton was awarded leadership of one of the very first tank divisions, and he didn't know if he could actually lead or he'd be scared enough to run away during battle. But during one point, he was able to get trapped by the enemy in a foxhole. Instead of cowering down, he got up and started running at the enemy. This enabled the other people around him to do the same, and they ended up winning that battle. But at that, George Patton ended up getting shot in the gut and taken off the battlefield. Now that you know who George Patton is at a younger age, let's explore him during World War II. George Patton possibly did one of the most important roles during World War II. Patton ended up fighting Erwin Rommel, which was Germany's best tank division general, and he ended up winning. And after defeating Rommel, he went and took Sicily from Italy, which caused it easier to get into Italy and fight Germany from two fronts instead of one. Around D-Day, Patton was awarded leadership over the Third Army, which then he would have to show that he could command an actual army. Mentioned by History.com, Patton took on the challenge of marching 100 miles on foot and tank in a hook motion to help liberate and save the city of Bastogne. One of his most famous quotes that he said before doing this was, "The objective of war is not to die for your country, but make the other man die for his." Acknowledged by azquotes.com. And now that you know what he did during the war, let's talk about what happened to him after this war. He had been going around, getting driven around in his Cadillac limousine to go give speeches about the war and what he had done and what the soldiers had done. And while they were driving around, some person T-boned him and caused General Patton to get thrashed in the vehicle and hit his head hard enough to cause brain damage. And when he arrived at the hospital, he was announced brain dead. And an American thinker had stated that he died 12 days later. Many theories have also been said that people think that he was assassinated by some people because the vehicle was just waiting there for him the whole time. Now you know who George Patton is and what he did, and if you're not a history buff, now hopefully you have learned what he has done and how heroic he really is. Most people still call him heroic for what he has done, and as men go, George Patton was one of the best, and I'll leave you to decide this with a quote from brainquotes.com. success is not how high you are, but how high you bounce off the ground when you hit the bottom.